All right, Mike Heck here for MMAfighting.com, reacting to the big news of the day. UFC President Dana White tells CNN that the highly anticipated lightweight championship unification bout between Khabib Nurmagomedov and Justin Gaethje is on the books, and it will take place October 24th at what we assume will be UFC 255 location TBD. And as you've seen over the last several weeks, Dana White has been repeatedly asked by reporters about Nurmagomedov's status following the death of his father, Abdulmanaf, earlier this month. And White had sort of stuck to a very common answer that he was going to give Khabib as much time as he needed to recover from the tragedy. And it looks like the Eagle may be ready to soar much sooner than most anticipated. As you guys probably know by now, Khabib is 28-0, captured the vacant lightweight title with a unanimous decision win over Ally Quinta at UFC 223, and then defended it twice successfully with submission wins over Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. And he's going to take on Gaethje, who has just been on this absolute wrecking ball of a tear with first-round finishes of James Vick, Edson Barboza, and Donald Cerrone. And then at UFC 249, the highlight was exactly that, and then some, when he earned a fifth-round TKO win over Tony Ferguson to become the interim lightweight champion. So huge fight, huge news, which, by the way, MMA Fighting's Damon Martin confirmed with sources that this is a done deal. So this fight is a go for October 24th. And with that said, let's bring in my colleague, Jose Youngs, to discuss this news. Jose, thank you for jumping on here. Wow. I have to be honest. If you asked me when I woke up this morning what huge fight would be made official today, Khabib versus Gaethje, with all things considered, probably would have been one of the last fights on my list. But here we are. It's a wild world. Your reaction to this massive 155-pound title fight being officially booked here?
Oh, I thought the timing was weird. Usually they like to announce these things on a big pay-per-view card or leading into a big event. But this was a Tuesday morning or Monday night, whatever, if it was recorded or whatever. So, but it aired Tuesday morning going into a fight night headlined by Edmund Shabazian and Derek Brunson. So timing threw me off. But after getting past that, I'm obviously excited. This is the fight. I've made it known on the A side. I had many a preview and post fight and between the links. So this is the fight I'm looking forward to the most. I think I was looking forward to this more than – actually, no, I am looking forward to this fight more than when Khabib was supposed to fight Tony Ferguson. Yes, Tony Ferguson was on that long win streak, and he deserved it. And for history's sake, that fight was fantastic. I wanted to see that fight so badly. But in terms of actual stylistic competition inside the octagon and a fight that I think is much more even, Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Justin Gaethje just checks all the boxes in my mind.
Yeah, it was interesting because Dana White did like a 25-minute conversation with Brett Okamoto yesterday and was asked about this fight specifically, and Dana just sort of gave the same answer that he's been giving to everybody else. But like you said, this is the fight to make. It has been the fight to make since UFC 249, but with the death of Khabib's father and the relationship that they had, I didn't expect to see him back until maybe 2021, but that was just like a full-on assumption on my part, of course. But he's ready to come back, first time in over a year, taking on a surging interim champion in Justin Gaethje. And you sort of alluded to this, but many people believe that they're going to favor Khabib in this fight. But if anybody can do it, if anyone is crazy enough to be the one in 28-1, it's Justin Gaethje. Do you look at it the same way?
Yeah, I definitely favor Khabib. I think he's the best fighter on this planet right now because that depends entirely on if John Jones is retired or not or never fights again. But I think Khabib is the most dominant fighter right now. He's never really looked in trouble, and I think Justin Gaethje is the man to do that. Yes, we talked about Tony Ferguson's offense off of his back versus Khabib's top pressure. And I think that's why that matchup was so intriguing. It's both of their strengths kind of played into the other one's strengths. But for this one, it's Khabib who has done one thing and does it so well and does it better than anyone else in the history of mixed martial arts. And that is take you down, control you, stay on top, beat you up, and then finish you. No one's been able to stop that. In my mind, Justin Gaethje in this division has one of the best chances. He has a phenomenal wrestling background, which he's never really showcased in his MMA career. He talks about it, but he hasn't had to use it, mostly because he's fighting guys and finishing them very quickly. I'm talking about this new Justin Gaethje because, of course, he said after those back-to-back knockout losses, kind of had to reassess. So it's there. He just hasn't had to rely on it. And then Tony Ferguson obviously didn't shoot for a lot of takedowns. And because Justin Gaethje was getting the better of Tony Ferguson in the standard department, he didn't really have to showcase that. So I'm very curious to see how this wrestling pedigree that he talks about, that everyone talks about, stands up to the best wrestling we've ever seen in MMA. Justin Gaethje, his cardio is also off the charts. He took that fight against Tony Ferguson on a very short notice. I was there sitting octagon side for when Justin Gaethje beat Tony Ferguson. It looks like he could have gone 4 or 5 more rounds. He was ready to go. So I think Justin Gaethje, in terms of if you're trying to build a fighter that has the tools to beat Khabib, I'm not saying he can beat Khabib or he will. If you're molding a fighter that has the tools necessary, and that's cardio, durability, wrestling, heavy hands, good striking, phenomenal cornermen, Justin Gaethje checks all of those boxes. Now, of course, I favor Khabib, but if everyone at 155 pounds, even most of them at 170 pounds, I would favor Khabib. But I think Justin Gaethje is one of those fighters that could really give the reigning champion a problem.
You said this is the bout you've been looking forward to the most, your highly anticipated fight of the year. Yeah. When you look at some of the bouts that have been booked for 2020 in this year of chaos and this year of adapting to crazy situations, anticipation aside, is this the biggest fight of the year that's been announced at this point?
That's tough. Announced? I think it's between that, the trilogy between DC Stipe, and then of course the Israel Adesanya and the Paulo Costa fight. But I think the world is going to be much more interested in this. Khabib is a international superstar. I believe he's the most followed athlete in all of Russia on social media. Justin Gaethje is of course one of those fan-friendly fighters that I've talked to fans who are just terrified watching the fight. They're like, I can't believe you watch this, but it's like they're watching a car wreck. They can't turn away. So if you're talking about a fight that is going to capture the minds and the imagination of the world, this is the fight. Yes, Israel Adesanya and Paulo Costa is going to be unbelievable, and the bad blood is going to be a phenomenal fight. DC Stipe is for the greatest heavyweight in UFC history, but in terms of what will just is going to make headlines across the globe, I think it's Khabib Justin Gaethje.
I kind of hope, and this is me just sort of being selfish and being a fight fan and just wants to see this fight for what it is. I kind of hope they limit the media availability for these guys, at least for Khabib heading into this fight, because you know what the whole fight week build is going to be like. It's going to be questions about his dad and how he's dealt with all of that. And there are some things that I just wish that these fighters could just have to themselves and deal with it in their own ways. So I kind of wish, in a way, we could just limit the media and just have these guys fight. But I don't think that's going to happen. But you're favoring Khabib. I'm favoring Khabib, but anything can happen in this wild sport. Do you have like an early prediction on how this plays out, like Khabib by blank?
I would have to. It's tough to say. Justin Gaethje is one of those guys that's kill or be killed. All of his only losses have been very violent stoppages to Dustin Poirier and Eddie Alvarez. And then lately, Khabib's been submitting guys, and Justin Gaethje's been submitting guys or finishing guys, I should say. So it's. Man, I want to say this won't be a decision, but when I say decision, I don't mean it's because one guy's going to fade or get knocked out. I just think these guys are finishers. I can't imagine these guys reaching a decision for especially 5 rounds. If this is a 3-round fight, maybe a decision. I can't see this going 5 rounds, but I have no idea who's going to win. I obviously, if I had to put money on it, Khabib by maybe submission, maybe just gets on top and chokes him out. And it's just a mistake. We've talked about on the A side. We talked about it with Dean Thomas. MMA at this point, when you are the 2 best fighters in the world in your weight class, at any weight class, it doesn't come down to who has the better skill set, who has the better cardio, who has the better corner. That's not what it comes down to. The biggest factor is who makes the first mistake. And I think that's what's going to come out to. So these guys are by far the 2 best at 155 pounds. I think they've been around the sport long enough that they know what they're going to do and they know how they're going to do it, and they're going to do it phenomenally. So whoever makes the first mistake, the other one going to capitalize and finish the fight. So I would favor Khabib, but this fight is absolutely unbelievable.
It's such an awesome fight, and it's happening a lot sooner than I could have expected it to happen. Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Justin Gaethje for the undisputed UFC lightweight title, October 24th. Location TBD. You'd have to assume this is going to happen in Abu Dhabi, but we will keep you posted on that via MMAfighting.com. I'm sure more on this will be discussed on the A side tomorrow, Jose. I see you have a special guest lined up. Can we reveal that information?
Well, allegedly it's supposed to be Sarah Kaufman. So barring any unforeseeable changes, Sarah Kaufman, PFL fighter, former UFC, former Strikeforce, all of that will be joining us on the A side again.
Excellent. There you go. Thanks for watching and listening, everybody. For Jose Youngs, I am Mike Heck. Get ready for a barn burner on October 24th.